Hello, lovely people. It's very nice to be speaking with you again. It's been ages. It's been a while, so I hope all is going well with you. And very nice to be connecting with you again. So I thought to make this video to do about 4 things. First, just share a life update. As I've said, it's been a while. Just a little check-in. And then I'm holding a few books that I've been reading over the past few weeks. Just to show you the books. And then next, I wish to talk a bit about the challenge itself. So in general, how the challenge has been going, reflections on it, the future for the channel. And if you don't take anything from this, by the way, because this may be a slightly longer video, I just wish to say many thanks to you all for joining me on this. I can't even express how grateful I am. This experience hasn't just helped me connect with people and get inspiration and get all these incredible, interesting books, but it's also shown me the power of connection through social media. It's something I knew of in the abstract, but this has been a first-hand experience. I mean, seeing 1,000 people on here, for me, it's wild, it's crazy. And to be frank, part of the reason I stopped posting was I knew this was coming to an end because this was a challenge for me, a yearly challenge, and we'll be in December. Ooh. And I knew that's the reason I posted this, but then also seeing how fast this grew, I know that sounds like, oh, people have millions of followers. That's not the point for me. For me, 1,000 people felt like all these people on this channel. If I keep posting, well, I was just thinking I need to have a definitive plan on what I'm going to be doing. And posting knowing the end of the channel was imminent I felt kind of weird about it. But I'm going to talk about all that. So yeah, I kind of went ahead of myself just because I want to get that out of the way in case you don't watch the whole thing. And then finally, I wish to talk about my challenges for next year in brief and what I plan on doing with the channel as well. Okay, so the books, in rough order in which I read them. Genesis by Karen Slaughter. It's a fiction book, not very usual on this channel, about someone solving a crime, basically. No, this was the next. Nietzsche, Human All Too Human, Beyond Good and Evil, 2 books in one. Very interesting read, very deep. Hey, this guy. The Courage to be Disliked, based on a Japanese philosophy. Very interesting. The point being, the clue is in the name. The best way to go about life is, following one's instinct, not caring what people think around one, and not focusing on past experiences. The Emperor's New Mind, very interesting book. Very interesting is all I'll say, by Roger Penrose. I read this the other week. And currently I'm reading Favela by Pamela Paulman. Pamela is a slang word that means slum, and it talks about a bunch of slums in a city in Brazil and all the stereotypes people have of slums and people that live there. And it tries to complicate those simplistic understandings of slums. Very interesting book. I have so many thoughts on it, as I do have on all these, but it's not the time for that. Okay. So that's what I've been up to. Also, by the way, I've been reading a bunch of articles. And that's the thing. I feel, okay, I won't go ahead of myself again, but so I've been reading a lot on human nature. Guys, if there's one word, well, one idea that I'm truly curious about is what other people think is the true nature of human beings. Is human nature evil? That's a huge question for me. Anyways, I was reading some works by Sunji. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Human Nature is Evil. This is a very seminal writing. I was only reading it again because I was reading several other articles that were referencing him. And then I read this other article by, I need to give credit, by Roy Perret of Ashoka University. That also talks about human. By the way, I think I should point this out because this is a very well. Goes through, defines what evil is. Very interesting paper, by the way. But I just want to ask, because there's something of a model. I want to ask where you fall. Come on, I have this page. This is a kind of a long video, so sorry. Okay, I kind of remember them at heart, but I want to go by. Okay, so they basically argue there's 4 orientations of what people believe is the nature of human nature, is the relationship between evil and human nature. First are the optimists who believe Human beings are inherently good or predisposed to do good. Next is the pessimist. This is actually easy. I don't know why I'm looking for the page. Well, just to be precise. The pessimists believe the reverse. Human beings are in, and Sunji is a pessimist. Well, believes that, I should quote, human nature is evil. Its goodness derives from conscious activity. It is human nature to be born with a fondness for profit. Indulging this leads to contention and strife, and a sense of modesty and yielding with which one born disappears. Therefore, one must be transformed by the example of a teacher and guided by the way of virtue and rightness before one will attain modesty and yielding, accord with refinement and ritual, and return to order. Basically, people are born evil or with a disposition toward evil, but they need to be taught to be good. And then there's the dual. Wow, this is actually crazy. The dualists who believe. Okay, here we go. Wow. Yes, dualism. Human nature is both good and evil. Neutralism. Human nature is neither good or evil. Individualism. There's no such thing as human nature. All individuals are good or evil. And this author says, by the way, of the 5 positions, not all are equally serious candidates for our belief. We should dismiss rather swiftly both neutralism and individualism. In short, they believe the only ones that we should focus on are optimism, pessimism, and dualism. So the question would be, human nature is primarily good. Do you agree or not? Human nature is primarily evil. Human nature is both good and evil. Where do you fall? Anyways, that's the stuff I've been reading. So next, I wish to talk about the challenge. Thank you for joining me on this challenge. This year, I challenged myself to read at least 1 book every week, and I've surpassed that actually, but by very little. You know, it's funny, sometimes when I share I've been doing this challenge, people say, oh wow, so you've read 52 books this year. Many times when I make a challenge like this, for some reason, my goal is actually to double it. So meeting it is feeling a bit, I feel a bit underwhelmed, because I feel I should have done much better. Now, I know that even meeting it has taken a lot of effort, because when I do this sort of challenges, when I set a challenge, or especially if it involves reading, I try my hardest to actually read the books and engage with them and think of them, and that takes a lot. Believe me, some of these books I have to reread because, forgive me, even with the attention I believe I gave them, I feel there's more depth to them than that I still need to seek out. So yeah, I'm not tapping myself on the shoulder, so to speak, even though I'm proud of myself, but not tapping myself on the shoulder, sort of proud. So yeah, that's where I am. I think I must have read, I might be at around 60 books for this year. I'm still reading, by the way, so we'll see where that ends. So, not bad though. Congrats. Well done, well done. Okay, so next, on the channel, at some point during the challenge, I thought to make this public to share with the world, wow. But yeah, the world technically, this challenge and what I was doing. And the reason for this was, I feel reading is something very personal to me. And along with reading comes thinking of ideas and expressing ideas. Now, many of you on this channel are readers like myself. And one thing you might know is it isn't the most ubiquitous hobby. So sometimes when you read, it's not as if you can always talk about the ideas you're reading with everyone. And that's a sense I've had for a very long time, for much of my childhood and adult life so far. And so through this channel, I was really hoping to try and be myself, intellectually at least, and say things that I want to say, mention ideas that I want to mention, use words that I want to use, basically try not to have a filter. Now, the funny thing is, I was watching back some of my videos during this hiatus, and I don't know, I felt I had attained at that to some extent, but that I was still somewhat inhibited in my presentation. And to be fair, part of that has to do with the time restraints. I was literally rapping on some of these and thinking, oh my goodness, this is insane. I was speaking so fast, so trying to keep in the time limit. But also I feel the fact it was a challenge and I had to record myself made it such that the presenting sort of interfered with the way I presented the ideas. So the way I understood them wasn't always how I presented them. even though I feel I did a decent job. So that's my appraisal of these videos. However, the thing I'm absolutely grateful for is the community. Guys, I can't thank you enough. You have no idea what you've done for me. To know that there were people out there that were following, that were listening, that were engaging, it means the world to me. And you've really broadened my perspective of the world and of ideas and of what's possible on social media and in being able to reach people and connecting with people with ideas. So thank you. You have no idea. I appreciate your engagement, your support, your messages. It means the world to me. So thank you. Thank you. 1,000 of you are on here. Actually, a little over 1,000. So it means a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, part of the reason I was reticent to post, because when I was reading some of these papers on human nature, even this one, I was reading some stuff by Hart as well, and many others, and some books, other books I've been reading in during this period. I kept wanting to post, but I felt, since I had shared that I was taking a bit of a break, I felt it might be disrespectful, and I just didn't want to interfere with that stillness, because I don't know. I guess the reason was, if I'm trying to give voice to what I believe might be the reason for this, it was by posting I felt I was inherently inviting more people to follow. Not that many people would follow after every other video, and I felt it wouldn't be in good taste doing that, knowing this challenge was coming to a close. But yeah, that's it. Okay, that was a long one on the reads and the challenge. By the way, I forgot to say, in terms of life updates, maybe I'll pass on that one anyways. Okay, so I'll move on. In terms of, let's see. Yeah, those are all the reflections. Okay, next year. What's my challenge for next year? So next year I want to do at least two challenges. Now, the past 2 years, both my challenges involved. Oh, I actually did two challenges this year, because I learned French and I did this. Wow, I actually haven't been conscious of this. It's so crazy, because I finished the French one in the first half, and in this second half I've just been reading things and watching podcasts, basically practicing. So I forgot it actually started out as a challenge, and this was meant to start the other year, but then I sadly lost a relative, so that kind of broke the challenge, because I wanted to learn. Okay, never mind, I won't go into the details of what the challenge was going to be, but I pushed it to this year. And yeah, speaking of, this month has been a bit crazy for me. Two of my favorite artists in the world sadly passed. The first is Zahara. You may not know who this is, but she's a South African Afro soul artist. She's my absolute favorite artist. I actually made a video with her song in the background. She's brilliant. She was brilliant. She was just 36 and she passed. Second, Andre Braugher. In case you don't know who that is, if you've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's the guy, that's the captain. And I can't express how saddened I was by this news. And what's funny is, I knew they both passed the same month, but I just checked this evening and I found they actually both passed on December 11th. This is insane to me. Zahara, I have all her albums. I don't speak the languages she sings in, but I know all her albums, or well, many of her songs back to back. I've listened to all her albums, to every single song she's put out, and I can't believe Kavayam, which is her last album, is all we'll ever get from her. It's crazy to me. But I'm also grateful for the legacy she's left, and oh, her voice. My God, there's something about her voice. I can't even describe this, but I'm deeply saddened. Andre Braugher, I hadn't got a chance to watch many more of his films, but his series, TV shows, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine was one of my absolute favorites, and it's a go-to. He always gets me laughing. I feel it's very well written, and his delivery, it couldn't be done better. What a legacy, and so a bit saddened by that. And I've also been a bit ill. You may tell from my voice, by the way. This entire week I've been recuperating though. Okay, that's an extension of the life update. Next year, oh my goodness, it's just 15 minutes anyways, you can keep going. Next year, so the past few years, I've been doing challenges that involved at least one natural language, so spoken language. The other year, I learned Swahili. This year, I learned French. Next year, I'm doing another natural language, drum roll, German. Okay, so I'll be learning German. That's one of my challenges. Learn German. 2, I also want to learn a programming language. So I'll be doing Python. So those are my 2 challenges for next year. And they're drastically different from the ones from this year. And how I learn languages, I think I've shared briefly on my review for French Action 1 and 2. I love the immersion method, wherein one throws themselves into the language, where one doesn't learn by mimicking or by translating from a language they speak to one they're trying to learn, but rather throws themselves into the language. I have a brilliant, very thick book, Contact, which is, I'm going to be using that for German, and one follows an online course as well, along with the book. Similar method I use for French. When I say learn a language, by the way, so I don't mean attain fluency. For me, learning a language means, by the way, I think I need to qualify this because it may sound like, oh, wow. Yeah, it's. I guess what I mean by learn language is attain the basics, be fluent in the fundamentals. So being able to go around, order stuff, get on public transportation, read basic stories, so bedtime stories, children's books, those sort of things, be able to do that. But most importantly, be able to read and listen to basic stuff. So podcasts, news. So for me, once I have a functional understanding of a language, I feel like I've learned it. Now, once I get that, the final step for me, and this can be done at any point once I attain this, is traveling to a place where people speak that language, and it will just pop back up. And then I get the practice, and that's it. Once I lay the foundation, and this is a funny thing that happens, I don't know if any of you that do love learning languages or have learned a language in the past experience this, but once I start learning a language, I have an exponential uphill climb where I'm just learning and enjoying, and it's going really well. I'm learning. Then at some point, I just hit a plateau where I feel I've learned many of the basics. I've got the grammar rules, the conjugations. If the words are gendered, I've got that. And then I lose the interest. Well, yeah, I kind of lose the interest where I don't feel like the learning curve is as steep. So I hit this plateau, and that's when I know I just need to go to where they speak that language, because in fact, not necessarily even go where people speak that language, because I'm kind of an introvert. So it's so funny. I'm one of those people that travel to places and forget to take a picture. It's crazy. Like I passed by a monument. It's not even a living in the moment thing where people have this thing where, oh, I'm living in the moment. No, it's not even that. I don't know. Is it a lack of awe? Not in an aloof sense. When I see landmarks, I honestly can't explain. Maybe it's shyness, like I can't get people to take a picture, but I could take a selfie. I don't know what it is, to be honest. But I could be next to a landmark and not take a picture. But by extension, what I meant in the context of language learning, I may be in a country where people speak, but I won't feel the initiative to necessarily go out and speak to them or force interaction. So I think a better alternative for me actually is living with someone that speaks the language, preferably the dialect I've been learning, and that speaks that follows that follows proper conventions of speaking that language. So that's preferred. Maybe a hostel where people speak that language. Because I have a relative from Belgium, and I was trying to practice French with her, and I noticed the French that I learned, because I was learning from a book, and this program is kind of old. Just imagine this. Imagine learning English from have you guys watched Mind Your Language? I think that's what it's called. The British comedy show of the international students. You see how they speak? It's proper English, but the accent and the intonation, it sounds rather formal. So if you spoke to someone that way, that a random person that lives somewhere in the US, for instance, or somewhere that people speak English, if you're learning by imitation and that's all you know, you may sound a bit funny to them because, I don't know, they're using slang. So, by the way, so imagine this. Someone's just using slang basically, and you're speaking proper English. So that was the experience with my relative that lives in Belgium. All this to say, it's best if someone speaks following those the formal conventions, because that's what helps you learn. Yeah, no cap. That's cringeworthy, isn't it? That's the point. Okay. Now, next year, in addition to a natural language, I'll be doing German, which I've been, which I learned a bit a while ago when I was in high school. I loved it. I love German, so I know a bit of the basics, but not enough to say I'm even at A1 level. I don't want to graduate myself too soon. So I'm starting from scratch. And I think it's a very interesting language, very long words, very difficult conjugation. Oh, by the way, okay, maybe yeah, very hard words. And in German, all the words have like genders. So you must know the gender of a word and remember it. There's some clues, basically. So some words end in a uniform manner, and so you know they're masculine or feminine or neutral. But that's one thing that makes German really hard. The words can get really long, extraordinarily long, but it's a very interesting language as well. I want to learn it. And part of the reason, by the way, is I want to read some speeches by some German people and works as well. So that's part of the inspiration. The second, wow, this is actually getting really long, but it's fine. I mean, yeah, I'll just put this out there. The second part of the challenge is Python, and I want to learn a programming language, and this is part of, I don't just want to learn a programming language actually. I also want to learn other aspects of data science beyond programming. So beyond Python, I want to learn the whole, well, bits of the whole package. So data visualization, beyond writing the code, some elements of mathematics that will help me understand the same, some bits of statistics, that sort of thing, machine learning, maybe some cybersecurity. So I want to learn the whole package to accompany my programming, and I hope as part of that to build something, a project of sorts. I don't know what it will be yet, but I must build something, and I want it to be audacious, and I want it to be functional and something I can use. So this might be, at this point, the thing that comes to mind, vague as it might be, is some model that helps me in my reading or writing, that I can feed with information and that can help me sift through vast amounts of information and give me precisely what I want back. That's very vague, but that's the idea as I see it. That's the impression I have. And I can clearly envision what I could use it for. Very many use cases, especially if I can control the data from which it spits back this information to me. That's what I want to build. Maybe an app, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, why am I doing this? Why am I going into this challenge? Look, so many people in this generation, in our generation, we are so blessed, I feel. Oh my God. You know, I'm one of the, I don't know, guys, I don't mean to brag, but I feel like I practice gratitude. I'm one of those people that will wake up and just say, oh my God, I'm grateful for my knees. You know, this, like I may think, oh, I'm grateful for, I don't know, the tiniest things, you know? So, in terms of this project, I'm grateful for this generation we live in and the fact that with just internet access and the laptop, one is able to build products and ship them to the world. Can you imagine? And the recent advances in artificial intelligence have been of great interest to me. And by the way, the Sam Altman drama, I was following with great interest. Not just because it was a huge story, but OpenAI and ChatGPT, for me, has been a game changer this year, as has been for lots of people, so this is not groundbreaking anyways, but ChatGPT is something I use every day, and I don't know, it's crazy. 2 weeks before this drama, I was watching the OpenAI developers conference, and they announced all these changes, and the things they're planning on doing, and their roadmap makes one see that AI is the future, and that learning these skills is going to come in really, really, really handy in the near future. In about 7 to 10 years, not knowing the fundamentals of machine learning, being able to write a programming language, I feel like will be equivalent to, in the present day, not being able to type. Something I was sharing with some friends. So I feel it's partly seizing the moment, but for me, more importantly, understanding the systems, being part of it, contributing, because I feel I have lots of engineering friends, and when they're building stuff, I feel this is something I'll enjoy. It's very aligned with my personality, I'm able to concentrate for long periods of time. I enjoy problem solving. I enjoy working with systems, with things, and I love competencies that require concentration and being able to deliver thereafter. There are no embellishments to being able to write a program. So those are the reasons I love this, and I'm eager to be part of this, the work that's going on in AI, and also understand deep what the risks are, what the opportunities are of it. So I basically want to jump on that bandwagon of all these things we've been hearing. So I think that will be a W for me, learning programming. Keep sprinkling these in there. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's see, is there anything else? No, oh yes, there is actually. So, I don't know if anyone is still watching this, but I have to ask, what do I do with this channel? I have two visions, right? So either I think I'm going to create a new channel for the new challenge. For two reasons. One, I think the people that joined this channel joined it for a specific reason, which was because they're book lovers and they wanted to follow someone that was reading books or joining this challenge, or get inspiration or find out more about the books. But they came here for a very specific purpose, which was to follow book content. So I feel it would be an L of me if I simply slapped a new label on this and shifted focus. And then suddenly I'm writing code or learning German. I feel it would be disrespectful for the people that joined this channel for a specific purpose. So that's one of the reasons I want to create a new channel. On the other hand, I feel it would be brilliant for continuity if I just posted on here in future and politely asked people to unfollow. But that's rude. Even though I feel beyond that, one wouldn't know what, I don't know how the algorithm works on Instagram, and if the fact this was a book channel means my posts are targeted toward a specific audience, which is very likely, Shoshana Zuboff. If you remember The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, oh my god. Anyways, and that by keeping this channel and redirecting the content, I'll basically be targeting the wrong people for the new challenge. So those are some of the reasons I'm going to be posting a new challenge. Now, some of the things I'm thinking of in terms of that new channel, or this channel, I may repurpose it in the end. I'll actually ask for feedback. What do you think? Should I repurpose this channel or should I make a new channel? Please let me know. Please let me know if you could